So, welcome back today to America's Future podcast. Today, I have on Victoria Norcross, and she has been in politics for a while. Her family is very active, and so I will allow her to introduce herself and tell us how she what she does. So, take it away.
Hi, Timothy. Thank you for asking me to be with you. I'm currently a writer slash journalist slash editorialist, freelance. Used to work with Real America's Voice News. Like you said, I grew up in politics. I would say I got my start at 4 years old, stuffing envelopes and blowing up balloons for my dad when he ran for Senate in New Jersey. Since then, it's been on and off with politics. I worked on the Hill, worked as a legislative assistant for a congressman from Wisconsin, Joint Economic Committee, worked at the RNC. And yeah, politics being what it is, I would take a breather from time to time, and I always end up back in it. So now I'm back in it, writing and giving my opinion on the issues of the day.
Thank you so much, and I'm so glad you're here. Um, It's really good to be here with you. And one thing that I really want to talk about today is the Epstein files, and one thing is Cash Patel and Dan Bongino, because they were a big proponent of why have they not released them, like, or maybe not that, but when it all came out that, oh, he killed himself and everything, and there's like, no, there's something more to this. And now that Dan Bongino and Cash Patel both are in the FBI, we see that they have like flip flopped and said, oh, Dan Bongino has come out and said, and Cash Patel have said that he killed himself. If you look at the evidence, he killed himself. And then they were on Fox and Friends then after their interview with that one Fox News reporter. And they said that, well, Dan Bongino at least was on Fox and Friends, and he said that the lost video of the cell that he was in has been found, and he is the only one in there, but it doesn't show him or it doesn't show him in the act of killing himself. And I thought that was really strange. But I don't know. Have you looked into that, and what do you think?
I think everyone thought the circumstances of Epstein's suicide was a perfect storm that seemed very unlikely. You have two guards who fell asleep. You have the cameras not working. He had a cellmate that was moved. He was not supposed to be alone. He was on suicide watch. How did all of those things happen at the same time to allow such a high profile, such an important person be left alone to either kill himself or be put in danger? And I think everyone with a modicum of intelligence had to look at that and say, that's strange. Is it possible that he killed himself? Sure. But it seems sketchy. And I think when you have Cash Patel, certainly Dan Bongino, who for so long was saying, release the files, there's something there. I saw his interview they sat down with Maria at Fox, and they both looked really strange to me. I mean, I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, but Dan Bongino looked like he was sitting on, an electric, like something that was shocking him from behind. I mean, he just didn't seem like his natural Dan Bongino self. And what came out of his mouth was, I've seen the files, he killed himself. And I know I'm not the only one who thought that he seemed strange. His body language, his voice, everything seemed strange. That said, I am inclined to give Kash Patel and Dan Bongino the benefit of the doubt that maybe verbally they've flipped on us, but I don't think overnight these two guys are going to just all of a sudden become lockstep, um, deep state players. If this is a long game, I'd be more inclined to think that this is a long game that they're playing. That, we know that Trump is a chess player. He knows how to be 7 moves ahead of everybody else. So I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt on this one, that maybe there's information in there that they know about, that compromises people that will be to our benefit. And if they release those files, that it will ruin the long game. I also, I mean, I don't know what the benefit is of saying that he killed himself unless there's something to that as well. But I guess it's almost like giving up your military strategy. You don't do that. So perhaps this is just strategy.
Hmm. Well, and the other thing is, I like listening to Alex Jones, and uh, there was one day he was talking about how James O'Keefe, who who was the founder and CEO of Project Veritas, and then it was taken from him, and then he started O'Keefe Media Group,
Mm-hmm.
and now and he told Alex Jones, like Alex Jones was on air, and he said, look, he said James O'Keefe came to me and he said I have a very video that is very damning, and this video could be very dangerous for me if I put it out, but I think the American people need to see it. And so James O'Keefe went into hiding,
Mm-hmm.
and he he said he said somebody in the Trump administration has ties to Epstein.
Mm.
And Alex Jones said, "Well, I don't know for sure, but by looking at the it was a teaser video or something of the whole thing, of the of who it is or whatever, of the documentary or whatever." And Alex Jones said, "I I'm pretty sure. I think it might be Pam Bondi." And he said that he was talking about how he reached out to people he knew in the administration and stuff close to Trump. And he said he was asking around. He's like, "Is it Pam Bondi?"
Mm.
And he said they confirmed it's Pam Bondi. And I know that might sound like, whoa, really? That can be right to a lot of people, but there's an article on the O'Keefe Media Group website, and it has Pam Bondi, and she's like uh, on there's a camera, James O'Keefe Media Group undercover person, and they're talking to her, and she says, "Oh, there's tens of thousands of these of videos of children with
Mm-hmm.
Epstein,"
Mm-hmm.
and it's like nobody before her has said anything like that. They said, "Oh, talking about Epstein and stuff," but nobody said how many videos or whatever. Like, and how does she know that? And um, what are your thoughts on all that?
Um, yeah. So obviously Pam Bondi's from Florida and
Mm,
Epstein lived in Florida. Um,
yeah.
yeah, she said tens of thousands of videos with little children, and no, I mean, obviously we've been talking about underage girls. I don't think I heard anybody under the age of 14, 15. Um, I don't know what to make of that. I really don't. It's that's bad. I mean, she also said child pornography. So
Mm,
I just, I don't know. I mean, is the Epstein thing deeper than just the mill of pimping out underage girls, or are we talking about like little kid child sex trafficking and all of that weird, awful stuff? I really don't know what to make of that. It kind of came out of nowhere. And then is she going to, is that going to go any further? I mean, I know it was only a couple weeks ago, but it seems to
yeah.
just, I don't know what that means.
Well, and see, and here's the other thing that I asked this so much. How, like, I know that like the chief of staff has a lot to do with like saying if someone is good for whatever position, in the cabinet in the Trump administration.
Hmm.
And how like if someone is compromised, if someone does have ties to Epstein, who is there telling Trump, okay, this person needs to go, or like how do we tell, like, I don't know. And another, like for example, I was listening to, I think it may have been Alex Jones again, but he was talking about how the other day when there, the peace talks between Ukraine and Russia are still going on, and um, Ukraine sent drone attack on Putin's helicopter, or you know, and like Trump, he said, I don't think Trump knows that, because then Putin, I guess, responded and everything, and in a hostile manner, obviously, as you would probably imagine, and he said Putin needs to like not do so, things like that, and then Alex Jones was talking about how I don't think Trump knows that Zelensky did that to Putin, and so it's like who, like, someone needs to, like, how do we get that to him? It's like, and the other thing is, when you become a politician, I feel like it's probably hard to, or very easy to get out of touch from the American people and what they see, and then because you're in DC and all you see is all this, like, oh, we got to take care of the budget and all this, and you fail to see, these things in the news because you're not paying attention to that. You know?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a bubble around Washington and everyone there and everyone who's working there. And I always feel like it's like you're stuck in the high school hallways and the world outside of your high school doesn't really exist. But I mean, I do not worry about Trump getting information. I mean, this guy sleeps 4 hours a night. He's up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and he's very much someone who is in control of everything that matters to him. I think what makes him a great politician is that he's very aware of what's happening around him, and he keeps a small group of people around him that he really, really trusts. And I think that if people don't, if it's not working, he doesn't hesitate to fire someone. I mean, there around Trump, there's always accountability. He's extremely loyal to the people that have proven themselves to him. So, I mean, I think he's probably the better in Washington than a lot of people because he doesn't stay in Washington and
Mm,
he doesn't surround himself with just political insiders who have been in Washington for 40 years. He's got people
Mm-hmm.
from the outside, from the real world working around him.
Mm-hmm.
His first administration, there was a really steep learning curve for him. And I think he learned a lot in those 4 years about how Washington works. So I don't know if that answers your question. I don't know if that question can be answered. Um,
Yeah.
I do think he gets the information. I mean, obviously things
Mm-hmm.
happen that he doesn't know about, but he deals with it pretty swiftly.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that does a pretty good job of covering that question. So I think so we can try and stay on time as best we can. Let's go to the next thing I want to talk about, which is, the whole thing about government spending and, the big beautiful bill and everything and and I really want to talk about this because it just seems like there's not the political willpower. There's not what people in DC, enough people, at least enough people in DC, who want to do the right thing and cut more spending than they are adding spending. Because if we continue at the rate we are, like, it's not going to be good. And we probably won't be able to go in depth into this as I'd like, but um, do you mind? So I sent you a link to the talking about the big beautiful bill. If you don't mind reading the beginning of that article.
Yes. Okay. So this says that the big beautiful bill gets broad endorsement with fiscal reservations. The sweeping 1,000 plus page bill combines permanent tax relief with major spending reductions and entitlement reforms. I think more importantly, what you want to get to is the offset. So it says to help offset what the Congressional Budget Office estimates as 3.8 trillion in lost revenue through 2034, the bill proposes a series of savings measures. These include what the Tax Foundation projects could be 851 billion in savings from repealing or phasing out green energy tax credits tied to former President Joe Biden's Inflation Reduction Act, as well as CBO estimated savings of 698 billion from tighter Medicaid eligibility rules, 267 billion less in federal spending on food stamps, and 64 billion less for all other purposes. However, what you and I talked about before, the bill also authorizes a 4 trillion increase in the US debt limit, which Secretary Bissett has said is essential to avoid default later this year. Obviously, the Democrats are going to stick to their tried and true, century-old argument of this is a tax cut to the rich. Saying it's arguing that it slashes vital aid to struggling families to fund tax breaks for billionaires. I want to jump to, I think it's funny what Musk said is that I think a bill can be big or it can be beautiful, but I don't know that it can be both.
I agree.
Yeah, man, I don't envy anybody trying to deal with economics in Washington. It seems impossible to me. I mean, we've got here the bill. So they did a survey, which is really great, and it breaks down different aspects of the bill. The bill's right to prohibit Medicaid funding for gender-related medical procedures. That one was highly supported. The bill wants to extend the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act to prevent tax hikes. And then here they want to tighten up the rules for food stamps. So they want it to go to able-bodied adults without dependents, requiring able-bodied adults without dependents to work 80 hours a month to keep Medicaid coverage. I mean, these seem like common sense this isn't just giving money away, it's truly trying to help people get on their
Mm-hmm.
feet or support them, right? Supplement.
Mm-hmm.
Spend 12 billion in border security and deportations. 150 billion for military projects, including the Golden Dome. Allowing businesses to fully deduct equipment costs in the year of purchase will boost investment. Eliminating alternative energy tax credits. I mean,
Yeah, I think that's definitely necessary.
it sounds like they're trying to cut down on all of the. Washington loves spending other people's money, and we have
Mm-hmm.
tons of programs that are just spending taxpayers' money. So somebody's got to come in and take care of that. But that means that congressmen have to go home to their constituents and say, it's like saying to your teenage kids, I can't buy you the Nike shoes because we don't have the budget for your Nike shoes. Or we can't eat out 3 times a week because we don't have the budget for that. Nobody wants to
Mm-hmm.
hear about budget cuts, but I think the
Mm-hmm.
American people voted for Donald Trump because they wanted Washington to stop spending money on crazy stuff.
Yeah, and it's just not happening. It's even though Elon Musk was like, "There's not enough cuts in here. We need more of that. We need more cuts," and I agree with him. We do because, like, look, if we really do actually get more debt, that we have to raise the debt ceiling to $41 trillion. Like that is so outrageous. And like what? Like okay, and I don't think we're gonna have time to go into this a whole lot, but they they're gonna have to like do something about this. And I keep asking the question, why? Like, are politicians just that stupid, or like do they just not think that we could do this? We're America. We could do whatever we want. It's not going to bite us in the butt. Or like what goes through their head?
Again, I think they want to get reelected, and they go back home to their constituents, and they're trying to first and foremost appease their constituents, but then they go back to Washington and they have to appease lobbyists and special interests. And all of it is tied into getting reelected. All of it is tied into getting money. Like I said, I don't think anybody wants to hear that the program of money that they're getting is not going to be there anymore. So then these politicians have to tell their constituents, this is going to be tough, but it's what we have to do in order to rein in our spending. I think that has to be part of the bottom. I can't. My dog wants to go outside. um, I, I I think that's really hard for people to deal with. Is having to
Mhm.
tell people what they don't want to hear.
Well, okay, so here's another thought I just thought about. So if they're so worried about getting reelected, why don't they just make the cuts? Because aren't the American people waking up to the fact that, oh my goodness, our debt is so high, we're
Mm-hmm.
never going to be able to pay this off. So, and it's just going to keep going up unless we do something about this. And so then if they just make the cuts and they do what needs to be done, they won't need to worry about raising so much money to run these massive campaigns because the people will be behind them already.
I, I don't. I don't think anybody wants cuts that are going to affect them. Again, like I
Mm,
said, it's like dealing with kids who don't want to hear that they can't get what they want. I'm not saying the American people are. Yes, I agree with you that I think the American people understand, but I think I think they also don't understand. I mean, it just keeps going. We just keep functioning, And so it's not really affecting them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be difficult to cut programs and spend, like, nobody wants to hear we're going to cut funding to, I mean, I guess some people, I personally think that we shouldn't be spending money on PBS, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But like cutting out the NEA, that's a really difficult subject for a lot of people. I mean, I have a lot of friends who are teachers, and I don't think they hear the Republican argument of why cutting funding to the NEA might benefit our education system.
Mm-hmm.
Cutting the cutting money to the environment, cutting a federal program. I don't think
Mm-hmm.
people want to hear that.
Yeah.
So either they need to do a better job explaining it, or, I mean, we're not allowed to let our debt run out of control. I don't understand why the government's
Exactly.
allowed to let its debt run out of control, because the end result is the same.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I agree. Yeah. Well.
It is probably the worst job, because you have to make everybody happy. You have to make your
Yeah.
constituents happy. You have to make the lobbyists and special interests happy. And I don't know that you can. I mean, obviously, everyone in Congress thinks I want to get reelected because I can do good. And if I don't get reelected, then I no longer have that ability to do good. But then you have to sell yourself a little bit to get reelected. I don't think there's a lot of members of Congress who can be outspoken and be tough and get reelected. There are some,
Mm-hmm.
because they live in a place where, like, we have some in Texas, but that's my dog. Okay. You ask a question, I'll be right back.
Okay. Okay. So next. Okay. So I think she did a good job of explaining all that. So now I really want to talk about the Texas Senate race, and so what we have in Texas is three possible candidates. And for the okay, so this is for the primary. Okay, so we have John Cornyn, who is currently in the as a senator in Texas. Then we have people as challengers, which right now is currently Ken Paxton, and and then another one who has not declared his candidacy yet, but his
Hunt.
name is Hunt. Yes, and they're all obviously all Republicans. And when it's between Ken Paxton and John Cornyn, Ken Paxton wins in the primary. But then if you put in and it's like 56-40
Mhm.
for in favor of Ken Paxton. And then whenever you have put Hunt in the mix, then it's like 44 to I think it's like I don't remember. And then John Cornyn is like 30. I don't remember anyways. But and then Hunt gets like actually I think Hunt is actually 34, and then John Cornyn is then 19. And so it's actually an even bigger gap between John Cornyn and Ken Paxton. And then it goes on later to say in the article that if Ken Paxton were to win in the primaries, that he would lose against Beto O'Rourke if Beto O'Rourke wins the Democrat nomination. And let's just say we do not want Beto O'Rourke as a senator in Texas.
I don't even
That would be a
understand how
disaster.
Robert Francis can run in Texas. I mean, I moved to Texas from New Jersey for a reason.
Yeah.
Born and raised in New Jersey. I love my state. but it really went off the rails during COVID and I couldn't take it anymore. So I came to Texas because I love Jesus and because I am conservative and I wanted to live in a place that basically I could be myself. I do not mind in any way um, opposition to my opinions. I look forward to it. I like to keep myself in check. So I have a lot of friends who are liberals and a lot of friends who are conservatives. But I do not understand how Robert Francis can run in Texas. And I think Colin Allred is more, I mean, he at least purports himself to be a Texas Democrat, but he doesn't vote that way.
No, he does not.
No. So how either one of them could get elected in Texas, I guess that has to do with the influx of people from California.
That's what I thought. That's what I keep thinking too. Is does it
It
have to
is.
do with that?
100% it does. I'm in McKinney. McKinney, Collin County is a very conservative county and it is changing every year. Where I am in McKinney, it's exploding in new construction. I mean, exploding. And a lot of these people are coming from California, but unlike me, I'm coming from New Jersey, but I always say to people in Texas, I'm coming with conservative. I'm not coming to Texas to change Texas. I'm coming to Texas because I like
Yeah,
Texas the way it is.
yeah,
These liberals are coming from California and they want Texas to be like California, which is insane because California is as a dumpster fire.
yeah. It's a disaster.
It is a disaster and they're leaving because it's a disaster, but then they want to
So
yeah.
I just don't understand why. Why would they? Why would you leave somewhere like that, come to Texas, and then vote the exact same way? Like it doesn't. Like do
Right.
these people not get it?
You're
Like,
leaving
do they really not get
California
it?
because it's awful because the taxes are high because they are a nanny state and then you're moving to Texas because Texas has a great economy because Texas has jobs because Texas is a beautiful place to live because of Republican policy and then they move here and want to California Texas. I don't get it and I know there's a lot of hostility around here about it. I mean people are like do not California my Texas. So
So do they? How does that? I just don't understand. It blows my mind.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know how they don't see that. And it's not, I mean, I have a lot of bumper stickers on my car that let people know exactly where I'm coming from.
Hmm.
In New Jersey, I would probably get run off the road. My car definitely would have been keyed. My tires
Hmm.
probably flattened. I don't, I see a lot of eye rolling and stuff more and more around here, but I don't know how you cannot be aware of where you're coming from and what you're coming to and criticize where you're coming to. You know, a lot of people moving here from California have issues with Texans' um, stance on guns, on
Oh yeah.
constitutional carry, on concealed carry. Thank God they don't seem to have an issue with Jesus, which is everywhere here in Texas, which I love because back in New Jersey, you know, people would not say in general, you know, God bless you, have a blessed day. People say that around here all the time and no one seems to take offense to
Yeah.
it. But uh yeah, I don't know how you move to Texas and get upset about the conservative values here. Texas is Texas. But they're
Yeah.
going to keep trying.
Yeah. So okay. So do you see in the future? Do you see each Senate race, each House race to be similar to that, where you have, well, maybe not the represent House races because there is different for each district, but do you see the Senate races and governor races? Maybe I don't even know about governor, but at least Senate for now to be like this, where it's like oh, what could be toss up, and then it's like it's and like the one like this year, it wasn't even close. Like it was not even close. Like Ted Cruz like destroyed Colin Orray.
I
But
think
then I
Texas
think the
really
year before,
likes Ted Cruz. I
yeah, but like nobody likes John Cornyn. John Cornyn is horrible.
I think that the more people coming here from California who are not coming here to get conservative, then yeah, I think these races are going to shift more and more to the left. I'm curious to see what's going to happen in the Senate race because I think that will tell a lot about the future of Texas. If Robert Francis O'Rourke can get elected in Texas, then Texas has a real problem.
Okay, how? Okay, I think it'd be really cool, and I don't know if I'll be able to do this because I am actually, for those of you who know me very well, I am actually looking into religious life.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think I'll do this, but you know, it would be really nice if we could have a campaign that wasn't to get anyone elected, but to show these people coming from California, look, if you vote the same way, you're going to get the same thing you got in California.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like that's what we need is a campaign that shows that, so people get that through their head.
I don't know. I don't know if you can because they would already know it. I mean, if you're leaving California because you can't live there anymore because of the way California's run, then you're never going to get it. I mean, I guess worst case scenario is these people from California, they move to Texas, they California, Texas, Texas turns to a dumpster fire. Maybe they'll get it then, but I don't think so. I think they'll just move to another conservative state and keep doing the same thing. I think they vote their heart and I think they vote their virtue signaling. And I don't know that they entirely see beyond that. Because if they did, then they would have a problem with some of these policies that they keep doubling, tripling down on.
Yeah. Well, and it's like oh, what was I gonna say? Um, I don't know. Oh, it's like what Dan Bongino says. Is it bad enough yet?
Right.
And then we had the election, and then it did. It went the way that it went towards Trump. And it's like, yes, it actually is bad enough yet. But that
Right.
was for the whole country,
I do.
And
I
it's like,
think, yeah, I
go
think
ahead.
that that presidential election obviously shows that a lot of people are waking up to, they may not like Trump, but they don't like the direction that the Democrats are taking the country. So they're going to vote for him anyway.
Yeah,
But it remains to be seen if they understand the power that Congress and Senate have, because in the midterms, they may go back to voting for ridiculous candidates with ridiculous ideas and ridiculous policies because we have Trump. But as you know, if you have Trump in the White House and you have a Democrat controlled House,
you can't do anything. You can't get anything done
no,
because the
especially when you have a
Democrats.
House that is so anti Trump. I mean,
Yeah,
they've indicted him, they've shot at him, they've done everything to try to get rid of him. They've impeached him. If you have a president that you absolutely refuse to work with, Washington's going to be a useless place.
yeah. Well, there's so many things I really want to talk about, so I really want to have you on again.
Yeah.
But I just for the sake of being able to upload this video, to YouTube and Rumble. I'm gonna probably have to say let's be done.
Okay.
So I will try and get you on again really very soon because there's a lot of things I want to continue to talk about, similar to this last topic we're talking about. But are you on any social media like X or Facebook where people can find you and find your work?
I am on X as the Polichick. I'm old, so I'm not on social media a lot. That's something that
Hmm.
even as a writer, I've been told I have to do, and I'm really bad about it. I am on Substack as I believe it's Victoria Norcross or Victoria Armstrong Norcross on Substack. And where else am I? I do not have, I'm on Instagram as a private person, but yeah,
Okay.
that's it.
Well,
That's as
oh,
tech as I get.
okay. Well, again, I thank you so much for joining me today, and I would love to have you on again, and I will let you know about that in the future.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.